working on another of the splurges that I started in the Idea Explosion Challenge. So let's see how that goes. And the one I've chosen is one that I actually made in the last splurge that I did, which was a what was it? It was a final countdown splurge, so it was a super quick one. So let's do this. Okay. So this is the track. Let's move to that. Oops. Let me just check something actually. Yep, we're all good. Okie dokie. So here we go. So this is the track without the click. Oh, sorry, not that. Let's start it again. So that is basically it. Okay, and I did that in about 5 minutes, and I think I actually watched the video this morning, the original video, and I've put the video in the description where I made this, and it actually came out of me answering a question. Somebody who's saying that they, can't think of things. I can't exactly remember what the reason was, and I was just kind of demonstrating. You don't need to think of things. You just have to kind of play something, yeah, and then something comes out. Anyway, this came out, and I have in my automatic music machine, I have written a list of things to do in my first discovery session. And the first thing I've written down is, because really what I'm looking to do here is, because at the moment it's not, the it's an idea. You know, it could be a strong idea, but I don't really know what it is. It's just sort of a thing. So the goal at this stage is to kind of figure out what this wants to be. And I use the phrase "what this wants to be" intentionally, because it kind of, you know, I think we do get ourselves in all kinds of difficulties when we try and force things too much and force our will upon music. The music is always, I think, telling you something if you're open to it. So it's always telling you what it wants to be. You just got to kind of open your ears to that reality, if you like. So I had an idea that I might want to do a double time thing on the DFAM, because I didn't use the DFAM for this because the purpose of the splurge was to go really fast as I possibly could, and the DFAM kind of, while being absolutely fantastic, I can't go as fast on it. So I'm going to add some DFAM in first, because that will kind of open up some more possibilities. So I thought what I might do actually is make it go at double time. So I think what I'm going to do, make that go 162, which is quite fast, isn't it? Then functions, MIDI transform. Hang on a minute. So I'm going fast. I'm going to need to go half speed on the piano. Yep. Let me just check that. I'm sure it's right, but I'll just check it just in case. Because you never know, right? Go away. What's going on? Why are you staying there? Thank you. Yeah, and we're now going at double speed. Okay. I don't think I'm going to use that at all at the moment, which is the 808 thing. But I probably need to make all of this. Oh, hang on. If it's half time, that means I need to extend. Yep, that too. I'll do it with this first. Half time. And a lot of these parts I'm going to change during this session, which if you've done, hang on a minute, going double time, half speed. Yeah, which means, you know, for those who are struggling to splurge and just, why won't this close? Struggling to splurge because they want to get everything right, well, you'll notice that I'm actually removing lots of things. So you don't actually need to get things right the first time, or even second time, or even third time at all. So, you know, you can chill, basically. And so oh, this is going to be a little bit more of a nightmare. What is this? I can't even remember what these parts are. Oh, that's the bass, which I'm probably not going to use anyway. I think I'll just mute that for now, because I'm going to play a different part. So really, all I'm actually sticking with is really the piano part, which was the first thing I played in the splurge. So now I'm going double time with the DFAM. Whoops, no, that's not right. Okay. It's a bit swung. Ooh. Hi, Edgar. Seems to have a bit of a problem going here with my little widget thing, which I'm going to sort out now. Just do my head in. Oh, there we go. Seems to be working. So, let's go ahead. Hey, Scott. Ah, that was the problem. I had the envelope on slow. I didn't understand why it was going slow. Right, we're getting somewhere. Right, I'm gonna, right. So, there we go. I'm just going to leave that going like that for now. I've spent enough time. Oh man, go away. Spent enough time doing that. Okay. Very simple bass line. I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. this part here, which was a guitar part. So, and I don't want it to be a guitar. I want to take it away from the U2-ness of it. So I want to see what I can do, because there is something about this sound that I like, that I think is cool. I wonder if I can edit the actual, yeah, because there's a guitar there, 2 guitars. So, synthesizers, just try one of these random. Hang on a minute. I didn't select anything. Wait a minute. Oh. What's going on here? Doesn't make sense. What else I need to do is just turn off one of these sounds. Okay. Okay. Too clicky. Right. I'm going to try playing it here. Might be too clicky. I'm going to play it in anyway. So here goes. Too much. Just get a much more simple sound. Just anything. That'll do. Right. Back the part I had before, because it was working before ish, and just half time that. Why reinvent the wheel? This has already been invented. Half speed. Yep, half speed. Alright. Okie dokie. So if anybody who's watching this now has done the Splurge challenge and is struggling with the next bit, because I do get quite a few people going, well, how? Yeah, I'm good with splurging. I can get loads of ideas out, which is fantastic. Obviously, it's a lot better than before. However, I'm getting stuck on the next bit. So, is anybody in that situation? problem. Paul says yes. So what happens? What happens, Paul? Tell me. Paul over on Facebook says yes. It's weird. Now my chat thing doesn't seem to be showing up the new comments. That's obviously not working very well. I wonder why. I faffed around with this earlier. Oh, come on, move. I don't know. Anyway, I'll worry about it later. See, nothing seems to be closing. Anyway, so, yeah. Guess stuck trying to mould the idea too much. So when you say mould the idea, do you mean get it, like, I mean, mould the idea makes it sound like that would be a good thing to do. Right? So when you say mould the idea, is it that, Paul, is it that you've got like an idea in your head and you're trying to make it into that? I'm actually going to quantize this and I might have to replay it. So this isn't sounding wonderful at the moment, but we don't worry about that. Play in the. I'm gonna have to play in a this 808 beat because I'm just getting very confused with the timings. Right. So about this question that Paul has about trying to mould the idea. So I had an idea for instance, the DFAM thing. Yeah, and it wasn't happening as I expected it to. Right. So you saw me trying to do a few things, and then it wasn't really happening for me, right? So I've left it in, and it's still going, yep. But I'm moving on to something else because I'm not there yet, and it may well be okay, but it may well not be. I'm not worrying about it. Yeah, I'm moving on to something else. So I moved on to the next thing on my list. Okay, and even this isn't sounding, at the moment isn't like doing it for me. But there could be lots of different reasons for that. Yeah, and I'm not worrying about it too much at the moment. That is a sound, and it's not the guitar sound, which was annoying me before. So like I have made some progress. Can you see how I'm not getting stuck on anything in particular? I'm just moving forward because that's where things happen. Obviously, if you get something that's really starting to work, you can work on it more later. But at this stage, we're still really, because this is kind of discovery. Not kind of discovery, it is discovery. We're still in splurge mode. Okay. I mean, Paul, what do you do when you've had an idea in your head? So you do the listening session and you make a list, and then you try and do the thing on the list, yeah, and then you have the situation that I'm having right now where it doesn't work. What do you do at that stage? Come on, what's going on? Very strange. Why aren't you? can possibly be the reason for that? Is this in some kind of weird... No. It's not quantizing, and that's why. Oh, okay, now you are. You just decided to work. Odd. I don't want that. Terrible playing. Let's just go with that. Okay. So yeah, if you're still there, Paul, actually tell me, what do you do in a situation where whatever you've decided to do isn't working at that point? For some reason, none of my clicks are doing things for some... I don't know why that is. What's going on? It's very frustrating. See if I can do it this way. Open... piano roll. Does it do it now? No. Why is that? Chain today. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Paul says, move on to something else like you mentioned, but sometimes nothing seems to work. Right. That's right. And... is that a problem? I mean, of course it is a problem in a sense, but why is that a problem? I mean, that's pretty much what I'm experiencing now, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that change over there. Okay. What if that is a feature of the creative process and not a bug? What about that? Because if it's a feature of the creative process, which, hint, it is, right, then it makes no sense to kind of fight it, yeah? Or think that there's a problem, like think that there's something you're doing wrong, or like kind of stress out about it, or feel frustrated, because it's kind of like getting frustrated because the sky is blue. Man, oh God, I wish the sky was green. Just it's always blue. Oh, how damn you! How dare you! Oh God, sky. It's like... Okay. So Paul is saying, the problem I feel is that when I try to push it too much, it ends up causing barrier. Exactly. So the problem is the pushing. Now I wouldn't class what I'm doing here as pushing. Yeah. I'm just putting things in. Right. So, onwards. So yeah, I mean, what you're saying, Paul, is that when you try and push it too much, it ends up causing a barrier, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. So, like when you think it's a problem, when you try and like when you stop yourself because nothing seems to be working, yeah, when you don't just view it neutrally and go, yep, here we are again, same thing as usual. Oh man, nothing's working on my mouse. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to save this, I'm going to quit it, and I'm going to see if quitting and restarting Logic makes a difference. So I can kind of finish what I'm saying to Paul. Right, so if you think it's a problem, if you get really frustrated every time this kind of thing happens, yeah, and it is actually a feature of the creative process that sometimes just nothing works, yeah, and you get frustrated and you get upset, you start beating yourself up, and you kind of try 5,000 different things to make this one thing that's in your head work, then it ends up being way more difficult to come back. Hang on a minute, is this? Yeah, it's okay, it's working. It becomes much more difficult to come back to the creative process because you've got this kind of psychological barrier to overcome before you get back to it. Whereas if you just say to yourself, okay, this is the creative process, this is part of it, this is a feature, not a bug, it's not a problem if nothing that I'm doing is working, because at some point something will work, then you're not creating any barriers, you're just making progress. I mean, even when you're putting stuff in that isn't working, that you thought would, that you were really excited about, yeah, when you wrote the list, yeah, even when that doesn't work, you're still making progress because you're trying something and it didn't work. So you're learning. Yeah. Oh, this is weird. Have I got a double? No. Yeah. So you're learning something about what isn't working, what doesn't work. So you're making progress. So do you think, like Paul, do you think you could do that? Or is there something that I'm saying that isn't landing for you, that doesn't make sense? Okay, brilliant. This especially happens with ideas that I'm really excited about. When I have ideas that I'm not so excited about, we see what happens. Things come about, but the idea completely changes. Yes. So this is the problem with the things that you really like. I totally agree with you. I get that too. But obviously we do, I mean, it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes with the ideas that you're really excited about, they just come out really easily, right? But, for instance, in a situation, it's not that I was massively excited about this idea particularly, but I did think, oh, this could be really good. It's a good, strong starting idea. So I had some ideas about the idea, and then I wrote the list, so the double time thing on the DFAM, and changing the sound of that guitar thing. And so far, I'm like, meh. I mean, meh or worse. But there's no problem with that, because I know that at some point something's going to happen. At some point. But I'm not stopping myself from just stepping forward through it. It's not that there's no frustration there. That would be lying, and I don't want to lie to you. But there is frustration there, but it doesn't mean anything. I don't go, oh no, this means I'm a terrible person. Not again. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, obviously I am a terrible person. I know that. Don't worry. You don't need to point that out. But it doesn't. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to try something else, and then I'll try something else, and then I'll try something else. I think what it is when we say to ourselves, it's happening with ideas I'm excited about, what that is about, what you're suffering from, Paul, and what we all suffer from, is expectation. Yeah, is that we are expecting something to turn out a certain way and then it doesn't. So then we're disappointed by the fact that our expectations haven't, our kind of best expectations haven't turned out the way we hoped. Great, it's working now. Right, phew. Right. So yeah, I was clicking the things and it wasn't doing anything. It's very frustrating. So what we want to try and do as much as possible in the creative process, instead of creating all these expectations and then getting like upset or disappointed or beating ourselves over the head when they're not realized, is simply to more think of them as, well, this is a possibility, this is a direction in which to go. And then if it doesn't happen, hey, it didn't happen, that's okay, there'll be something else. Yeah. Is this making sense, Paul? Having a little mini coaching session here with Paul. What's going on? Okay. Right, onwards. The next thing on my list is what is it? I kind of have done that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with this first, actually. Sustained noise a la Trent Reznor. And I'm just going to find something. Let's go textures. Is that something that would work? Hello? Oh, that's fine. What is that? Yeah, this is the kind of thing. That bendy thing might be a bit of a problem. Maybe not that, actually. Okay, so what's going on here is I have an idea in my head. So I've got a design idea in my head. I'll do it while I'm playing things. I've got a design idea in my head. But I'm... Oh dear, where is it? Just shut this off for a second. And if I find something else that kind of isn't it, that works, I'm going to go with that. So I'm discovering, while using the design idea in my head, which is a certain type of sound. This is it. Okay. I'm just going to do that actually. Just keep. Hello, Zoe. How you doing? Yeah, no, I mean, like, making lists. You've got to make the lists, man. Got to. Because, like, you're just like flying blind otherwise. I'm actually going to play something. Okay. Okay. That will do. Good morning, Darren. How are things? So, let's get rid of this front. Hang on a minute, what's going on here? There we go. Fabulous. Shh. Stay down. Hush now. Right. You know, if there's one thing I've learned about the creative process in all my years of making music, is that the majority of the time it's anything from meh to in terms of it, like, things working. Yeah. So, hello David. I'm glad that my videos help you finish music. That's fantastic. That's why I do them. So that's wonderful. So, oh, the chat thing's totally gone now. How weird. I wonder why. Is it because I shut this down? Maybe. Let's try that. See what happens. Sorry, I'm just learning things. I'm going along here. Alright. Yeah, if there's one thing I've learned about the creative process, it is that... Oh, it is working. God. Tell you what, I've got to get my streaming expertise sorted. But here you're seeing me doing it live. Honestly, I really have very little idea what I'm doing. But anyway, so yeah, if there's one thing I learned about the creative process, it's that things going, that, like, being anything between meh and neutral is, for me anyway, the majority of my creative process. Yeah. So it's not about It's not about trying to stop that happening. Just go with it. Let it happen. Let it be. Let it be rubbish. I don't want it to be rubbish. But trust me, when you've been making music for as long as I have, you get used to it. I need a beat. I need a beat. Just leave that there. I need a beat, even a rubbish one. Right. For now. Yep, judge it after it's done. Exactamundo. I mean, it's, you know, when we say judge it, what that means, it doesn't mean that you don't think thoughts, or, you know, thoughts don't come into your head going, meh, I don't like this is rubbish, this is a terrible sound, you know, blah blah blah. But you don't do anything with them, you just let them be. You just carry on. Well, I'm gonna have another stab at this sound quickly, so we can get something. Actually, maybe all I need to do is just turn down the filter a bit. Just for now. Basically, I want the thing I was thinking of was a more synthy thing that isn't a guitar, because it was just making me think of U2 a bit too much. Not that I don't want to offend any U2 fans, but. Yeah, thanks, Zoe. Yeah, when everything went down, I was like, right, I've got to show up. I've got to start showing up. I just felt like I needed to, which is why I'm doing so much that I wasn't doing before. get rid of that. So the other thing is Giori. Fantastic. I'm glad you're able to catch me. I'm going to be doing these regularly, and it's like, so I'm going to be doing this time every week, tomorrow at this time every week, and then the other times are early in my mornings, and that will be on my Tuesdays and my Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think it's that anyway. So I'm gonna make them regular at regular times, so you can kind of get used to when I'm on. Obviously there are going to be some weeks when I can't do every single one, but that's the idea anyway. And the other thing is, what I think I'm going to do is actually I'm going to take, over the next few live streams anyway, is I'm going to take some of the tunes that I started in the Idea Explosion challenge through. I'm going to do sessions on them, yeah, so that you can actually see things happening, or in this case, not happening. So like, I mean, I think part of a lot of people's problems is they think that great music producers, and by the way, I'm not counting myself as a great music producer, but they think that that people who've finished lots of music and kind of get somewhere are always like going, oh yeah, everything I do is absolutely amazing. It's just not true. You just keep going. Yeah, if you're in NYC, then probably the ones on your Monday and your Tuesdays are going to work. Well, it depends what you do, of course. Because let me just have a look on my phone with my special Miranda app. So New York. So it will be New York 3:00 in the afternoon on your Monday. Yeah. So that's next Monday. I think I can do next Monday, and next Tuesday, 3:00 in the afternoon in New York. I will be doing them too. So, what else have I got on the docket for today? Yeah, it's not very good. Anyway, all right, let's try this. Very simple bass line. Come on, Michael. Surely you can do something here. Oh, you're a night owl. Great. Well, that's all right then. Right, really what I want to do with this, I don't want to get all kind of like mixed up with the new parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to listen, because what I want is just a very simple kind of repetitive like bass line thing. I'm just getting the notes at the moment. working. That's why. Oops. I didn't set it going at the right time. Oh yeah. Right, so that's not there's nothing there for me. I could put something in, but I'm not going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try yeah, I'm going to try some kind of arpeggiator. So this is my other thing. Right, so I've tried this bass line thing, yeah. And I could put something in and leave it in, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to go on to the next thing. I'm just going to go with some random arpeggiator. Oh, some random arpeggiator. Okay. I don't know. Great question from Yuri. I had a question that I didn't have the chance to ask last time on the call. Your philosophy is to create as much music as possible. It's going better and better, posting them on YouTube and SoundCloud as well. But should we put all these songs on online stores as well? There isn't really a should here. I mean, it depends what you want to do. And it depends what really the purpose. I mean, it really depends on the purpose. I mean, I think you definitely want to, if you can, have a regular release schedule, but you don't have to release everything you finish. Definitely not. I mean, there's no way I would release everything that I finish, because a lot of the stuff that I get into done isn't worth releasing. So yeah, I choose some of the things that I have finished to release, and the others I don't. But they're not a waste. You know, it's not all about releasing stuff. It's just about making progress and becoming a better music producer and figuring out, but in the creation of music, what it is you're actually doing. Yeah. So there is no should. I mean, I suppose you could, but what is the ideal amount to be releasing? I mean, there is an argument for saying in the modern internet world, where there's like absolutely loads of noise and thousands of things are coming out all the time, as regularly as possible. But at the same time, you don't want to reduce. You don't want to just put out any old stuff. But then on the other hand, I mean, there's a lot of kind of back and forth here. On the other hand, sometimes you don't know what the good stuff is and what the bad stuff is. So, in general, I tend to err towards the release more, even if you're not quite sure about it. But then again, I definitely wouldn't release everything. And no matter what you do, that doesn't change the fact that you just create as much as possible. It's just like being prolific is really the key. All right. Oh, it's very annoying, this thing. Turn it off. I'm just going to play something in. I'm going to fiddle with the art, right? Okay. The thing is, a lot of music, you don't know how good it is until it's finished. In fact, if you're really honest with yourself, most music you don't even know how good it is even after it's finished. So, you know, I still don't know how good a lot of my music is that I finished years ago. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It does in a sense, but it doesn't matter as much as getting better in the process. Yeah, the result is just what happens when you make music. Obviously, we all want to make the best music we can, and we want to kind of get stuff out there and for people to enjoy it, and etc., etc., etc. But really, the making of music is much more, I think, about getting better, the progress element. Getting better at making music. You know, and sometimes you'll feel like releasing something, and sometimes you won't. And that's fine. Oops. I mean, you know, it's the one of the reasons I'm finding this hard, that I'm kind of, you know, finding it hard to answer kind of very clearly, is because it very much depends on your situation. So if you've been avoiding releasing music for years, and you kind of just constantly trying to find the ideal thing, constantly changing your mind and going around in circles, then I would say just get something out as quickly as possible. Just get on with it, because you're procrastinating. Yeah. If, however, you are in a kind of release mode, and you have been doing it for a while, and you've got releases and everything like that, and you're not kind of procrastinating, then, you know, I'll do. Got that in again, just moving forward. Not much happening here. All right. Cool. Well, when I say cool, I don't mean really cool. I mean better than nothing. So there we go. Put that there. And then what I want to hear, I can feel myself getting to the end of a session here. And what I want to hear is, I want to hear that just go to that. Right. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that going, it doesn't matter for now. And then going back to there. Okay. I mean, one of the things about releasing, coming back to that, is, you know, if you want to build an audience around, you know, as a musician, then what is it that you have to build that audience with? Well, one of the things that you have to build that audience with is music. Yeah, so if you've got more things to build that audience with, i.e. music, then you're going to build more of an audience, right? And obviously there is a point at which, like, if the music's completely rubbish, that's not going to work. But assuming that the music isn't completely rubbish, then that, that's what you need to do. Going to do a little defam recording. And it's funny. I came into this session like really kind of up for it and really kind of excited, and I'm now kind of not at all. But it's interesting how sometimes I think, well, if I'm in a good mood. If I'm in a good mood, then the sessions like these go better. But it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you can come into a session like, just had a massive argument with someone or whatever, and the session can just like explode into life, and you have the time of your life, and then you return back to your life like a changed person. I'm sure that's happened to you. And then other times you can come in, you're in a really good mood, and then it just like, ugh. So, what I've started to develop is just not really letting it affect anything, just expecting, just letting what happens happen, and not getting upset about it. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that little voice inside your head saying you need to improve more, I mean, that particular little voice is right. We don't need to improve more, but it would be good to be constantly improving. But, we don't need to beat ourselves up when things aren't great, In fact, the best way to improve isn't to beat yourself up at all. It's just to accept that, because really where you want to be is like the horizon. It's always moving away from you. You can't reach the horizon at any point, because the closer you get to it, the further it gets away. That is what that's mastery. You can't ever reach true mastery, because no matter how good you get, because in the process of getting better, your kind of perception of what is good gets better as well. So it's always away. It's always further away from you. That's why I worry when people say I'm satisfied with where I am now. I'm like, that sounds like the death knell. For me, I think one of the definitions of a great music producer is that they are never satisfied, or musician, composer, whatever word you want to call it, is that they are never satisfied with what they create. I think I said that to someone once. This was a few years ago now. And they were like, oh God, you're making me want to give up. I'm like, well, why though? Why do you want to give up? That excites me. Richard started the challenge late, but finding it hard resisting to the temptation to listen to what I've done. Learned that I have an addiction to this. Okay, so what do you think that's about, Richard? Why do you want to listen to it so much? What is it that you're trying to find out, or what's the reason? Turn off the click. timing issues going on. I'll worry about that later. Okay. All right, so Richard says to get a reward, I think. So just recapping on what we were saying. Finding it hard to resist the temptation to listen to what I've done, learned that I have an addiction to this. And I asked, so what is it that you are trying to get from the thing, yeah, the addiction? And Richard says a reward, which is a very what's the word? Honest and perceptive answer, I believe. I think you are trying to get a reward, Richard. But let me ask you a question. Richard. Where's my chat gone away? I don't understand this. There it is. Yeah. So, what, like, if that is what you like, if you're looking for a reward by listening to the music, yeah, that means, I think, stop me if I'm wrong, yeah, that means that you're expecting to have a great experience when you listen to the music, right? Is that fair to say? So one thing that's hard about doing live streams at this time of the day is that I've usually had lunch not so long ago. It's quite hard not to burp. And I'm sure you don't want to hear my flatulence on these live streams. Yes, so Richard's saying yes, that you're expecting it to be good. Now, what's the problem? Anybody, in fact, can answer this. What's the problem with that expectation that it's going to be good? What are you setting yourself up for there? Anybody can answer this question. Not just Richard. Be gone. Should we go in a minute? There we go. Actually, one thing I do have to check is the timing. So the question is, and I am waiting for an answer, somebody, what is the problem with expecting when you listen back to your splurges that it's going to be good? Oh, that's quite in time, isn't it? Anybody? Bueller? Come on, somebody take a stab at it. How about a lurker takes a stab at it? What I'm doing at the moment, by the way, is I'm thinking about adding another DFAM part, possibly. So I'll tell you then, seeing as we have nobody that is answering my question, nobody gets a gold star today. So I'm going to come back to the question I was asking. I just got into the DFAM hat territory there and got myself lost there down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it was a fun one for me anyway. So the problem is with expecting that what you're going to listen to is going to be great is that when it isn't, and I do say when because this will happen a lot, then what happens? You get disappointed, you get down on yourself, you get demotivated, you throw your hands up in the air, you start looking at tutorials, you start like buying more gear that you don't need, you start doing all kinds of things that you don't actually need to do because you've been disappointed. Yeah, so you set the expectation that it's going to be great is going to make you, is like you're creating a barrier for the future. Now, I'm absolutely sure that some of the things that you have done, if you do a load of splurges, are going to surprise you that they're good. But you don't want to set yourself up with that expectation. And if you are desperate to listen to your music that you've made in the Splurge Challenge, that's probably an indication that you've gotten something of a expectation, not problem, I don't want to call it a problem, that's probably too strong, but you're creating some expectations. So just, I mean, that's one of the reasons that one of the rules of the Splurge is that you don't listen for a certain amount of time, because I'm actually training you in on the sly in this. Yeah. And also, the more splurges that you make and the more splurges you do, the less it will be a problem because you become less attached to any individual idea. Okay. So let's have a fiddle. I'm just going to do a bit of too much sound. What have I got going on here? So I've got pitch to VCA to K. So that's what's creating the length of the note. Okay, so that. Alright, see if I can do something a bit better here. I probably need to do it with a beat so I can kind of get the groove. Alright. The only annoying thing alright, I know. Okay, I know what to do. Just figuring out what to do with the little performance that I'm going to do. So, in short, Richard, resist. Resist the temptation. And as I said, it's not because I think what you're going to listen to is all going to be terrible. I don't think it is. But, you know, expectations are the enemy. Tell you, you know, there are two things that are the enemy in the creative process. Big enemies, mental enemies. One is expectations. And if you think about expectations, that's about the future. So you're expecting to have a certain experience in the future. Okay. And the other is comparison. Yeah. And that's usually about the past. You're comparing whatever is happening to something in the past. And it's the kind of, it's very interesting when you think about the relationship between expectation from the future and comparison to the past, because it gets very, very kind of confusing in a way. If you think about this, that often when you're making a tune, so you know you start a tune and it starts out really well, yeah, and then as you get through it, you just can't seem to get the vibe back, and then by the end you're just like, well, I don't understand why. It's the same idea, I think, you know, but I just haven't, it's just not doing it for me anymore. And I actually learned just to finish those pieces of music in that situation anyway, because I realized that there was something psychological going on. And then in my coaching career since then, I've kind of think I've figured out what it is. What it is that when you start the piece of music, because you really are like, oh God, this is great, oh, this is absolutely amazing, you create this expectation in your head at that point that it's going to turn into this thing. Yeah, and then as you move through the process, you become less and less sure that it is that thing, and you start comparing what it actually is, what it ends up being, with the expectation you had in the past. Whoa! So in the past, you had a future expectation, and then in the present, you're comparing the expectation you had in the future, the past expectation you had in the future, but in the present. Hopefully you're following that. So in other words, this whole kind of like tight ball of expectations and comparisons just like makes you go, oh, I'll just give up, just going to go and get drunk. But if you realise that that's what's going on, then you just kind of like, yes, you are going to have expectations. Yes, they can be useful actually. And yes, comparisons are useful too. However, you can't like hang all your hopes and dreams on them. Yeah, because our expectations are never met. Anybody that tells you that they are is either lying or not sufficiently aware to notice that that's not the truth. None of our expectations are 100% met at any point. There is always something different. Yeah. As soon as you accept that, it becomes a lot easier to move forward. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful, Richard. Well, this is really, really loud, and I kind of want to record it in loud, but it's kind of a little bit too loud for... I'm going to record it there. So it's going to be a bit loud, folks. All right, so I apologise about that. Let's just deal with it, okay? So... And by the way, the tune isn't going to start with this hat part, but I'm just recording a long hat part in for the purposes of having a long DFAM hat part, yeah. Whoa! Hold a minute, got very confused there. I'm going to start that again. I think something weird's going on with... I just played this piano in and... No, it seems alright. I think what I might do is start it off with a click track, because I just got very confused there and... What's going on? Oh, I know what's going on. Oh, that's what's going on. This is in the wrong place. Oh my goodness me. No, it's not. Right, let's start again. This time I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just going to keep going. Do what my piano teacher taught me to do and just keep going no matter what. Right, okay, so... once again. That'll do. Right, so let's just turn that down a bit, and then that will be, and as I said, that hat isn't going to go all the way through, but just for now, I'm just going to let it do its little thing. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh, there we are, yep. Okay. And, you know, what ended up happening, I think, just turn off that clip. What's that? Pan. Oh, I can't leave it at that. I've got to put something else in. Oh. And I really need a pee. Oh. Weeing can wait. Alright, so now you're getting an example of how, just by going with what is happening, you can sort of enter you kind of just almost accidentally get yourself into a better place where you're feeling a bit better about it. Now, I'm not saying that I think this is the greatest work of genius I've ever heard, or that I'm like, oh, this is amazing, or anything. But I'm definitely feeling more, in terms of the idea and what it is or what it could be. I'm feeling more clear about that, and that's not because I had any at any point. It's just it's gradually kind of coalescing into something that is something that I can do something with. Earlier on in the session, you know, about an hour ago, it was just like, oh, I don't know, but simply taking steps is bringing it somewhere where it's starting to make a bit more sense. Right, and but even if it hadn't, I would be carrying on anyway. Right. So, right. Just remember to turn off the loop. Yes, I do. I'm gonna, I think. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and you can see me going quite heavily into splurge mode here, just putting stuff in without too much worry, just letting it go. And then I think what I want to do is just want to have one more little, okay, there. Right, not worrying too much about getting it right, just doing something. I think I want to end it there. Actually. Whoop. Bah. Just get rid of that. By just going like this. There we go. Right. That is a discovery session done. Now, I haven't exactly identified a few things that I kind of wanted to identify. So I haven't really identified. Is the thing this? I think it might be the piano. Do I want the thing to be this, or do I want it to be the beat? Because when I was writing the list, I think I was looking for the thing to be the beat, and it's not sounding like that right now. But so that's something that's in question. And if you're wondering what else I'm talking about when I'm saying the thing, basically just stay subscribed, and I'm sure it'll come out at some point. And the other thing that I'm looking for is kind of what the payoff moment is in this track. And that is also up for debate. But it's okay because I've done some stuff. I've added a few variations of things, and it's something. It's something to work on. So after what was for the vast majority of the session a very type process, I that's pretty. That's all right. I've made some progress. So I am going to leave you now. I will be back at the same time tomorrow. As I said, I'm going to be in these live streams for the next while, working on music that I started in my Idea Explosion Challenge in the Splurge. And I think I'm going to kind of choose like 4 tracks to kind of cycle around. And I was thinking what I might do is actually like each day do a different track. So today, which is my Thursday, probably some other people's Wednesdays, today is my Esther day. And tomorrow I'll choose another one, and we'll go around like that for a bit, see how that goes. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you found it very valuable. I hope it's given you a few insights about what you can do to finish music, what you can do to not have such a creative process with so much suffering involved. And if you're interested to see how this track started, how I started this track, watch the video in the description or the post, depending on what channel you're looking on, because it's the first thing I do. I mean, I talk for a bit at the start because I'm answering people's questions, but it's the first thing I do at the start. And make sure you like, love, subscribe, all of that jazz, and I will see you tomorrow. So until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sanitized, and onwards and upwards.